Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Kyle and Mark from the Fantasy Phenom. We're going to try this stream again. I just want to start with no promises. I think my internet is back and running. I apologize for the crash. I was out for a couple minutes. Apparently, I started streaming again, and I didn't even know it. So, for those of you that caught me just sitting on the couch listening to my slow jams, I hope you enjoyed. But yeah, man, let's try this again. We're going to start from the beginning, just so we can make sure that the full video is covered. So, obviously, 3 game slate today, Mike. We got Westbrook, Wall, Dame. You can throw in Bledsoe in there. Big question.
Yeah, like
again.
you were saying, it's oddly familiar to that 5 game slate we just had. I think it was a 5 game slate, yeah. Westbrook,
yeah.
overpriced. Wall also on the slate. DraftKings has bumped Wall's price up to 11,000 to kind of make that debate
harder.
a little bit more interesting and a little bit more tough to deal with. So, yeah, it's just that's kind of like where you got to start today. It's like obviously Westbrook's on the slate, so you got to consider what his ownership's going to garner, especially if you're playing cash, and you got to consider whether or not this is a good spot for him or not, and if it's a good enough spot to, or a bad enough spot to fade, or a good enough spot to, go all in.
I agree with you completely, man. I think
To me, it's like I feel like I try to get Westbrook, right? I try to start my lineup there, and if when I go through it and I don't necessarily like it, then I save it. Not that I hate it, I'll save it and then I'll start another one without him and see if I really like the other one better and it's worth it.
so. You seem to think that, and okay, I can agree with you on this. You seem to think that the cash line will move with Westbrook, and I agree with you because I think that he will be high owned. I think you'll see at least 50% ownership on him. On FanDuel, I should say. DK, it's going to be a little more difficult, obviously, with that 13.4 price tag with 10,000 less to spend. But on FanDuel at 13,000, he's very rosterable. So I think you'll see 50% ownership plus. So the cash line will move with him. The question's going to be, can you get that output from other players? And we're having this debate of, with Westbrook, I make the statement that it's 3,000 more than John Wall. With those savings, you could get the difference of a Marquise Chris at power forward to Markieff Morris. So your question then, or Nick Young to Seth Curry, or a Andre Roberson to Harrison Barnes, right? So your question becomes, can you get enough value or enough points from your value play to make up for the price that Westbrook is going to cost? And that's where I'm having the debate today. And in my opinion, I see a higher ceiling in rostering John Wall and a mid-tier player than I do in seeing Westbrook and a value play.
Yeah, the more I think about it too, on DraftKings, like you're saying, with 10,000 less to spend, I think that the ownership won't be as normal. It normally is on a 3 or 5 game slate with Westbrook, just because there is very little value. There's very little injury news to rely upon value coming out later on, and there's also several studs in good spots. So when you factor that all in, I think Westbrook will be less owned than he normally is on this short slate for those reasons.
Agree. On FanDuel, I think he'll be his normal. Well, I don't want to say his normal ownership, but he will be owned.
People will find a way to get him in cash just because they'll be afraid not to have him.
His floor is so high. I mean, there's no question about that. So, obviously, we talked about Westbrook. Bledsoe, I think, is going to go under the radar very much today against John Wall. I'm not going to roster him, however. But John Wall and Dame Lillard are my 2 point guards. For the most part, I'm rolling with today.
Yeah, I think Bledsoe's going to be sneaky. I mean, he's coming off a 48-point game against Isaiah Thomas, which, I mean, it's no slouch. He had 28, 9, and 6. Against John Wall in the one meeting they've had this year, 56.5 DraftKings points in 40 minutes. So I think it could be a sneaky play.
He also did really well against John Wall last time they played, for what it's worth.
That's what I was saying. 59.5 DraftKings points.
Oh, sorry, missed that part. So you can look there. I think Brandon Jennings is someone that you might have to look at if you're going to roster Westbrook. Again, that's something you get to avoid if you don't. Dame Lillard's my lock of the night, man. I got Dame everywhere. He'll be in every single one of my lineups. There's no question about it. I love his matchup against Westbrook. His last 3 games on the road specifically, 58, 47, and 40. And then the last time they played OKC, which was in Portland, he had 45. So I expect 45 to 50 points from Dame, and I'm perfectly happy with that output.
This is weird talking about this all over again, but like I was telling you, earlier, I know they didn't play yesterday, but the fact that they did, they flew to the game, they flew to Minnesota, they went through shoot around, morning meetings, all of that jazz. You got to consider it. I know it's not a traditional back-to-back, but something to consider with Dame. Brandon Jennings, again, he's not really getting the minutes as of late, but who knows? If this game does decide to separate itself early on, I think you see some extra run for Brandon Jennings, and we know what he can do with extra run, especially at 3,100. Definitely a solid tournament punt. Not a solid, but like an interesting tournament punt.
Yeah.
Tyler Ulis, 5,300 on FanDuel, I think is a little bit too much, but I think he's safe for 25 points. So at 46, I think he's rosterable.
Yeah, I'm not really looking at him on FanDuel. I think his ceiling is probably 30 to 32, 33 points, and so at best you're looking at 5.5 times value. I wouldn't really look at that, especially because I think today is more of a tournament play than anything else.
Yeah, but there's something to be said. The fact that there's no value, and I feel pretty comfortable about him getting me 20 points today, comparatively to the rest of the people under 5K on DraftKings.
No, that's a fair statement. We talked about the Lakers situation. I'm not going to roster Russell or Clarkson, but Yogi is someone that I can look at as sneaky.
Yeah, from pure DVP, obviously the Yogi stands to benefit.
But whether he'll have a Yogi game, who knows? One of his flashback Yogi games. Beal, I think, is someone you have to look at regardless, right? I just think Beal's in such a good spot. I don't think you can... If you're not going to roster Westbrook, I think you've got to look at Beal. I don't think he's a necessarily must play, but he's probably in the best spot of any shooting guard, in my opinion.
Beal's on a hot streak. He's going against a team that struggles to defend guards. And I think if you don't have Wall, I want Beal. Like if you're playing Westbrook and you're playing Westbrook, you're fading Wall, right? And vice versa. I feel like if you're playing Westbrook, I like throwing Beal in there to get some Wall exposure. Just because, again, they're both in good spots, and Beal's bringing a hot streak to Phoenix. So I like that call. 7,800 is a little bit too much, but again, pricing on a 3-game slate doesn't really factor in as it would on like a 12-game slate.
Yeah. You like Devin Booker, too. I'm not really high on Devin Booker today.
I just like this game, and I know this guy's a playmaker in this game. I think from building lineups since we last spoke, I'm focusing more on the front court on the Phoenix side than I am on the back court.
Agree with
that.
And
seeing what Bledsoe did against Wall last time they played, I don't know, it makes me consider Bledsoe more than I would Booker.
Okay. CJ McCollum's a fade for me. Not that he's necessarily in a bad matchup. By the way, Oladipo did go through shoot-around, so that's something to be aware of now. Might be a minutes restriction regardless, but Roberson usually guards McCollum, which, again, makes me just like Dame that much more.
Oladipo's put together some pretty good games against Portland this year, too, so could be a wild card.
Yeah, especially. I mean, I just worry about that minutes restriction. If he plays, I don't know. That's the only issue I have. So it's something to look out for. And then the other question is between Seth Curry and Wes Matthews, where to target this Laker backcourt if you decide to go there. Part of me, I mean, Seth is hot right now. He's shooting over 54% from 3 over his last, I think, 4 games.
He is.
But that $1,000, 1,500 difference on DK and 1,000 on FanDuel. It's enticing to go Wes Matthews.
Yeah, that price difference is hard to stomach. I think that's another team that I'm focusing on the front court over the back court. But again, everybody on Dallas is in a plus matchup. They're a plus 21.5 when you look at my fantasy point projections as a team. By far the highest on the slate.
Makes sense. The pace of the game and the DVP they're in. But Nick Young is probably my favorite punt play of the day. He's got over 20 points in 2 games versus Dallas this year. So I feel like he has a good chance to get 20. Played well last game, if I'm not mistaken. And you mentioned that Dallas gives up a lot of threes, right?
They're the second worst team in the league this season for opponent 3-point percentage. So
just something to keep in mind. Yeah. That's what Nick Young does. Actually, that's all he does. I think he went 4 straight games without a rebound or an assist.
Really?
I think
knew
so.
It was something like that.
If I saw that stat correctly, yeah. We revisit this again. Porter and Warren. I'm gonna go Porter. You're gonna go Warren.
Yeah, Warren's kind of one of my locks today. I'm not gonna get too fancy with it. When you're trying to attack Washington, it's at power forward or at look at the DVB correctly. It's power forward and point guard. I don't know. I like TJ Warren in the wings. I like his minutes consistency, what he's been doing consistently wise for fantasy production. Yeah, I'm into Warren today.
What about Mo Harkless? I like Harkless today, especially at 4,800 on FanDuel. Again, with Roberson taking CJ, I just think Harkless is in a good spot. Save minutes.
I think I'm leaning Aminu over Harkless today.
I can roll with Aminu as well. We know.
I think he's only $100 more.
Yeah, and you have the dual eligibility, obviously, on DraftKings.
Well, he's only power forward on DraftKings too, but I'm not gonna pick both. But for only $100 more, I think I'm gonna pick Aminu over Harkless if I'm getting exposure in that game.
Okay. And then Harrison Barnes, I think, might be my favorite Dallas play of the night. I like him at 6,100.
It's close between him and Dirk. I want both. I think I'm gonna lean Dirk over Barnes though.
Okay.
And that is granted that they decide to have Noel come off the bench again.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine they will.
See, from
I don't know.
That's the one reason I find it hard to go Noel today because his minutes just vary so much. He's in such a good spot against LA, but those minutes, man.
If he doesn't start, I don't see why he can pay off that price tag. But if he does, he's in a great spot.
Yeah, no.
So look for that. I don't know if we'll get that news.
I don't think we will.
There's 30 minutes after lock, so.
All right, power forward. After Dame Lillard, I think Keefe is my favorite play on the slate. And I was getting to this before the video crashed last time. So it's no surprise and no secret, at least it shouldn't be, that Keefe has really, really bad blood with Phoenix. He was escorted out of the building when his tenure ended there. He does not like Phoenix at all. Whether some of that has subsided since then, I don't know. He did drop over 40 points last time he played in Phoenix, I believe. So,
right.
I don't know, man. If you believe in narratives, and I like to factor those in, Markieff in Phoenix, yeah, I like that. And that goes back to the point I was talking about earlier with, can you roster Wall, or would you rather roster something like Wall and Keefe or Westbrook and Chris, right? Because you have to find some value. And I love the upside of Wall and Keefe today.
Okay, yeah, I like what you're saying. Like, obviously, this guy's an emotional player. He was, like you said, escorted out of the building. Bad blood. I'm sure it resonates with him. The thing I have with Morris, again, I mentioned it, I don't know if it was last show or the show before, but the addition of Brandon Jennings and Bojan Bogdanovic negatively affects Markieff Morris, and I know it will going forward, just because he is the one starter that they keep on the floor with the second team.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to usage and shot attempts and
obviously
maybe
there's
not
less
minutes
to go around. There's less to go around.
Right. And so for that reason, I expect his production to steadily drop, and same with his price. But yeah, if there was one game to go at him, I think it might be this one.
And again, I like targeting Phoenix's front court a lot.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
definitely.
he's gonna see Marquise Chris, who's no match for Keith. So maybe even a little Alex Len. I don't know. I just think the boards
He has the best matchup of his team for sure.
yeah. Matchup. I don't. I'd be inclined to argue Wall on that, but anyways, both are in good matchups. I don't. I'm. That's not a debate that needs to be had.
Yeah,
Cantor. I mean, there's not much more that needs to be said about Cantor. I think this profiles
with cancer.
as one of his games today. Portland struggles against power forwards, big men in general. I just don't think there's anyone that matches up with him on that team. So Cantor, if he, I just wish they would give him consistent run, man. I swear he doesn't. It boggles my mind at the fact that he'll put up 25 fantasy points in 18 minutes, but then he won't play the rest of the game. I just don't understand how you get that production from a player and decide to leave him on the bench.
They just like what he can do on the bench. They're afraid of what their team would be without him on the floor. You know. Again, you kind of have to have a playmaker off the bench and take him off off that second team. They got nobody.
Well,
So
I'm all for having him on the bench, but why can't he be like a 6-man role where he's playing
mhm.
half minutes with the starters and half? You can't tell me Sabonis and Doug McDermott should earn more minutes than Cantor.
No, you're right. I don't know, man. So $800 more to Markieff Morris. I think on FanDuel, I pretty easily say Canner,
I agree with you.
but
I might have both though. I can make the argue for both, and I know that's not going to be popular today because Narrative Street is full of power forward today. So you go down to Dirk. Dirk is chasing 30,000. They've made it quite clear that they want him to get it. They're going to feed him the ball.
interesting.
He has a good matchup. I mean, everything's pointing Dirk. So if you're looking tournament play, I mean, I don't know.
Pretty obvious pivot. I mean, he's in a great matchup too, though. So
That's what I'm saying. He is an
take
amazing matchup.
Narrative Street out of the equation, and I still like Dirk more.
Dirk or Cantor?
Dirk. I'm
Okay.
saying I still like him against LA more than I would Cantor against Portland. I still like both. I think there's a lot of guys in play here at power forward. I mean, especially on DraftKings when you have dual position, you can go T.J. Warren there. I talked about Aminu. You can go Harrison Barnes there. You could go um, Marquise Chris, Marquise Morris.
Nah, I mean, Dirk is. I'm gonna have Dirk in a lineup. It's just, man, the power forward and point guard, I think, are the two most abundant positions today on the slate. And it's rarely we say that about power forward, but everyone is just around the same price, man. Cantor 58,
Yep.
Keefe 66, Dirk 6,000, Randall 62. Do you look at Taj at all? 42, under 4K on DraftKings.
No, I'm not looking at Taj.
What about, so we mentioned Amino at 54. He's 54 on both sides.
I think he's more like a cash play, but
Yeah, I mean,
got a safe floor, you know.
no, I agree. And OKC struggles against power forwards. So, Aminu, you can definitely look at. He'll definitely go under owned today because of all the other guys on the slate at power forward. So, if you're into ownership. And then I'm not against Randall at all today either, man. I like Randall against Dirk.
That'll be sneaky. I'm not looking at that just because of all the other guys I just mentioned, but I see what you're saying.
I mean, Dirk's not exactly known for his defense, so just something to look at. And then at center, it seems like just from talking to the Slack group, Marcin Gortat seems to be the polarizing player at center today. There's people that love him and there's people that absolutely hate him today.
I mean, Gortat and Markieff are similar to me. The fact that they're limiting Gortat's minutes, makes me not like him. I don't know. I don't want to play a guy that has shown that he needs 30 minutes to hit value.
I agree with you. I'm not going to roster Gortat. And this is another position, again, where everyone is right around that price range, man. You have Alan Williams at 55. Damn, Alan Williams is 67 on DraftKings. That's tough.
Again, price though on this 3-game slate, it's tough to look at. You just got to look at it production wise. Okay, so like, what has Alan Williams been producing over the last 5 games comparatively to Yusuf Nurkic?
I mean, he could probably. Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to. They're both the same price, so you have to look at upside. And I mean, I would say Alan Williams at that price, still even over Nurkic, just from the matchup of. I don't think Nurkic matches up as well with Steven Adams as Alan Williams does with Gortat.
Solid argument for sure. I like Williams better as well. No, Len. So the guy I'm really looking at today is Mahimi as a punt. 3,000. He has hit 5 times value in each of the last 4 games. So
interesting. I can't say I looked at him at all, so he was off my radar. So good find.
No, I'm thinking the only way this works out is if there's like somewhat of a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think it will be, but the chance is there. But there's somewhat of a blowout. I could see a Jennings Mahimi stack being some super sneaky tournament upside there. But again, Gortat's been limited. 22 minutes last game. Game before that, he and then Mahimi has also played 20 minutes last game. But yes, 4 straight, hitting 5 times value.
So going for that number 5, thinking it happens, hoping it happens.
I don't know. I mean,
it's more doable on DraftKings.
There's worse $3,000 guys. Let's put it that way.
See, I always say that punting at center is so much more doable on DraftKings than it is on FanDuel because you literally take your entire. You only get one center, right? And so I really don't like punting there, but on DraftKings I get it completely because you can roster 2, makes sense. You know what I mean? Use that center spot just because if you want to roster another, just use them as a utility. So.
Right, and I'm only playing heavy tournaments today. Like nothing like. I'm gonna limit my exposure, my buy-in, and I'm gonna throw it in some like deep tournaments. So I'm looking to roster a minimum salary guy, and to me, they're all in this game. I think Mahimi, Jennings, Barbosa is one I'm looking at minimum salary.
Barbosa, yuck.
For what his minutes?
Mm-mm.
It's been getting minutes and usage off the bench recently. Yeah, so minimum salary, I think those are the guys that I'm looking at.
That's fair. Oh. Give me your favorite punt play of the day.
Mahimi, I think. I mean, unless you want to like take me off of minimum salary, like
just favorite.
Other than minimum salary guys, I think I don't know, man. I like Tyler Eulis. I like Nick Young.
Okay. Who are you more inclined to roster, Wall or Westbrook, for roster construction? We're not looking at point totals. We're looking at roster construction.
So I built 3 lineups. I have 2 with Wall, 1 with Westbrook, and I like the ones with Wall better.
Okay. And is Dirk going to be in every one of your lineups?
Yep, Dirk's in every one of my lineups, and I have one with him and Barnes.
Okay. Someone just asked, what about Devin Harris as a punt? I didn't think about that.
Play.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know what his price is, but I think if you look at what I put out for stacking today, and you're looking at bench usage last 10, he leads the bench 22.5%.
Devin Harris.
Mm-hmm.
So something to look at. That's a good call.
So yeah, if you look at that post I put out when it's usage, I look at the bench players for usage in minutes. I'm looking at least 15 minutes.
And Devin Harris is getting that.
He's getting at least 15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so someone to look
at.
That's
last 10.
And I guess lastly, Nerlens Noel. If we don't have
Yep.
that news, do you play him in a GPP? Is he worth a risk at that price?
Considering it, I think it's if what I've done is if I get that news, I'm gonna pivot from Cancer to him. If I don't, I probably won't. Like if we get the news that he's gonna start, then I'm going to. Because I have one lineup with Cancer, I'm gonna take him out and put Noel in.
Okay, makes sense. I think I stay away from Noel.
Like I said, they're saying that he's gonna start against LA and get 30 minutes. Yeah.
D wants to know, what about Alex Len? I'm not going to touch Alex Len.
I feel like they've just not liked Alex Len from the beginning. And now with Alan Williams pretty much
Owning, yeah.
taking over, it'd be silly for them to go back. I mean, it could happen though.
I mean, yeah, it's Phoenix, right? But
In the beginning when they stopped playing Chandler, the first 4 games, 2 of them were Len games and 2 of them were Williams games, and then since then it's been all Alan Williams.
yeah, I don't see Alex Len being a viable play in this game. What's up, Sosa?
I don't know, what are you doing here? She's like, what's going on?
Well, awesome, man. I'm glad we got through a stream second time.
We did it. Yep.
By the way, look forward to Wednesday is a lock. We are going to be covering catchers on Wednesday. Mike, Josh, and I. The basketball show will take place at 10 a.m. West Coast time, 1 p.m. Eastern. We will make sure that that is a lock. So we will be on air starting 10 a.m. And the baseball show will start at 2:30 Eastern time, 11:30 West Coast time, right after that. So we'll take obviously a quick break, grab something to drink, and then go right into the catchers. And we'll be doing 2 shows on baseball a week for the next couple weeks during spring training. We're going to cover each position, kind of give a season-long output, and also kind of apply it to daily fantasy. We also have not daily fantasy, season-long leagues that Mike has started up. I'll let him talk about those.
Yeah, I just sent the email out to the Google group. It's only available to those who are our subscribers, and that being just because the whole purpose of it is to be able to chat with the other phenoms that are in the group, kind of make it more of an interactive season-long league than most of us are used to. But yeah, that and we have the platform to like have leagues that have 20 teams in them, or want to go higher stakes, So it's going to be a lot of fun. I sent out the email to those that are in the Google group, as well as posted it in the MLB channel on Slack. Again, all the instructions are in there. I have been somewhat flooded with emails and messages since I put that out about an hour ago. So yeah, get in there, and it'll be a fun time. I'm excited to kind of compete all season long and start some groups within.
Yeah, so we're going to have a couple different buy-in levels. We'll have $100, $10, $25, $50.
Yeah.
So
as of right now, it's 2 $10 leagues. One's a 12 team, one's a 20 team. There's a $25 12 team and a $100 12 team. And once the leagues are full, again, you'll have their own Slack channel. You guys can kind of dictate, when you want your draft to be, if you want waiver wire rules, things of that nature, and we'll kind of leave it up to the league itself, and I can just fix it, fix the rules.
Yeah, it'll be obviously community effort or vote, I should say, and then each league will have its own Slack group private to those members. So that'll be a place where you guys can chop it up with each other and discuss trades and whatnot. So you're not trying to do that on a general MLB channel. So look forward to that as well. Am I missing anything? Any other
No,
news?
I don't think so. I think again, baseball's coming out. We are working on that. I think we're gonna have a golf right up tonight or tomorrow for this weekend.
Oh, also,
and
I remembered. So Jay and Anthony, you guys will get to meet them. You've already seen them in the Slack group if you're in there. They are going to start a NASCAR video. So for those of you that are interested in NASCAR, we had a couple guys try it this weekend again, won some money. So we got, a couple guys in there that really know what they're doing. How they're going to do it is basically break it down. So they'll do a recap every Monday after the race, and then a preview after some qualifiers, I believe is what they're called, before the race. So that's how the videos will work and break down. And then to address a comment here, someone asked, are we going to be doing an NCAA bracket? We are. So look forward to that as well. Of course, the NCAA tournament is going to be hard. So obviously brackets don't open until Selection Sunday. At that point, you have 4 days to make a bracket. And it'll be, I believe we're going to limit it to 3 entries each. And we're going to do $5 or $10 an entry. We haven't decided how we're going to do that yet. We can put a vote out. It'll be top 3 place and take money. And it'll be limited to the Slack group.
That's right. Yep. So we'll have it all set up, and we'll put out instructions prior to Selection Sunday so that it's all streamlined. So when the brackets are released, everybody kind of has an idea of what to do and where to go.
Yeah, so we'll have all the
I think that's
instructions out for you
how we'll run
guys.
that.
NCAA is just kind of difficult because you can't make a bracket until obviously Selection Sunday is made. So you'll have 4 days to get in, which should still be plenty of time. I mean, if you're in Slack, you're probably active in there. And
I imagine we won't include the first 4 in thing, just to give us some more time.
when's the first 4 and when's that, like Tuesday?
That's Tuesdays, yeah.
I don't believe any brackets include that. I think how they have it is you don't know who that is, but they usually end up being either the 16 or 11 seed. So you just kind of have to pick so you'll pick that 5 seed or the 1 seed, knowing that team, and then you either, I mean, if you want to get risky, you can pick the 16. So you kind of have to gamble and guess if one of those 16, one of the first 4 in is going to win, and then on top of that, are they going to beat the 1 seed after that or the 11 seed? So. That's how that'll work.
Another news. I also there's no lock show today. I'm actually going out to dinner since it's a special day, and so I will be not around during
Lock.
lock. So apologize for that in advance, but I'm sure the Slack group has got you guys covered, and I'll be back tomorrow.
All right. Well, we will be so obviously a packed day tomorrow. We got a show tomorrow morning for the slate. We have a baseball show right after that, and then Mike works Thursday, so we will have a basketball show for Thursday's slate tomorrow night. So 3 shows tomorrow. Look forward to that. So thank you guys for tuning in again. Appreciate you being patient with the internet problems, and we will talk to you guys later.